Nyongji Jimbo to Deni Mija Zoni Molam Jimbo Ngabjedo Baba Dangan do Yamato Tumbo Tuji Janla Kipcham Thar Yundan Sanji Gananyam Naya Garden Sanjili Jan Lobango Zavela Manam La Survan Dosundo Lorna Jula Jay Dosandang Agenda Jin Jay Yazome Jivra Jela So Simjan Don Liner the Dazana Tamba Namje Nimdo Zar the Sora. All right. Number 6, the root text. All right, it says, however, renunciation without genuine bodhicitta does not become the cause of the perfect happiness of unsurpassed enlightenment. Therefore, the wise generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Phuntsok dewi jir manjirwi lorden namji shanchip simchok jed. Lorden namji shanchip simchok jed. This means the wise generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Lord Udang Damba means like the fortunate person, wise people should generate the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Why? Because if you have renunciation but no genuine bodhicitta, then it doesn't cause, of the perfect of the happiness of enlightenment. Therefore, we need to practice bodhicitta. So this stanza is the purpose of generating the heart of enlightenment, bodhicitta, heart of enlightenment. Shanchip bodhicitta, shanchip means enlightenment, citta means mind, heart. So the heart of enlightenment, bodhicitta, Sanskrit term. So perfect happiness. See, in the root text is a perfect happiness. Perfect happiness here refers to freedom from all the fears and dangers of worldly sort of existence and those associated with the state of personal peace. Even if the renunciation has been developed, if there is no bodhicitta mind, it is not cause of liberation. That's today we're going to talk about bodhicitta. Yesterday we talked about renunciation. So renunciation you understand. So now here says, actually both of these practices, renunciation and bodhicitta, are important. So, if I have negative thoughts, then that means I don't have bodhicitta, right? I don't have bodhicitta mind. If I don't have renunciation, then I don't have the motivation to practice Dharma, right? Remember, renunciation helps you to practice Dharma. I want to practice Dharma, So if we don't have renunciation, that means we don't have the motivation to practice Dharma. We don't understand the value of Dharma. But if I have negative thoughts, then I don't have bodhicitta, right? So as I said yesterday, if one of these three principles is missing, then there is no way to attain liberation, enlightenment, right? That's why they're called principles, right? So here today in this stanza, it says, without genuine bodhicitta, even though you have renunciation mind, but it doesn't become the cause of the perfect happiness. Perfect happiness here means enlightenment, So bodhicitta is very important. Therefore, you can't, people, if you think, oh, if I have renunciation mind, then that's enough. They're enough to get enlightenment. No, it's not enough. So we need bodhicitta, and therefore practicing bodhicitta is especially important, and now what is bodhicitta? Bodhicitta is I always say, like, bodhicitta is about a kind mind, kindness, right? Kindness. Bodhicitta is about kindness. Now, this stanza means if we don't have bodhicitta, then it doesn't matter how much we practice other things. There is no way to attain enlightenment. Like, if we don't have bodhicitta, let's say if you practice renunciation or if you practice emptiness, there is no way to attain enlightenment. In order to attain enlightenment, these three, renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, these three must, otherwise, renunciation, practice renunciation is good because it helps you to practice dharma. I want practice dharma. I have precious life. I have good opportunities, so I don't want to waste this, right? So that's kind of renunciation gives you that kind of motivation. But then if you have no bodhicitta mind, then it's difficult. It's very difficult. So therefore, usually, like, what I really want and my goal is, like, I always, a student who wants to practice Buddhism, then I always think and hope that all my students have a genuine bodhicitta or a kind mind, so that's kind of my goal. That's why wherever I go, I teach bodhicitta. I teach bodhicitta and let them to practice a kind mind. So a kind mind is very important. Not only like Buddhist thing, A kind mind is good for everybody, good for our life. So that's my goal, and this is the only purpose, and we should never give it up, no matter whatever we practice. Our goal is to benefit all sentient beings, right? That's the purpose, the main goal. Our practice is, benefit all sentient beings, all mother sentient beings. Temporarily, people say, I want a peace of mind, I want a very calm mind, and that's just temporary thing, But the ultimate goal is whatever we practice, whatever we do, our goal is to benefit all sentient beings. So if we, that's why Shantandewa always say, don't give it up, don't give it up. Bodhicitta is a little bit harder than practice renunciation, I think. but don't give it up. And if we can sort of concentrate our mind on this aim, this goal, or this motivation, like that's why I always say, correct your motivation, right? So what is the correct motivation? Whenever you practice, benefit to all mother sentient beings. That is the motivation, correct motivation. So if we can sort of concentrate on our mind on this kind of motivation, this kind of aim, even for one single class or even like one single mantra, you say with this kind of motivation, the merit will never finish or exhaust until one's full enlightenment, as a Buddha. So the Buddha, in his sutra, said that whoever has a big heart, open heart, has a bodhicitta. Whoever has a bodhicitta has a Buddhahood, Buddha enlightenment. So if our bodhicitta is stable, that means like we are a mentally engaged bodhisattva, bodhisattva. So this is the sort of real purpose of life, the real meaning of your life, our lives, so yesterday we think about when we meditate or when we listen teaching, what is the meaning what is the meaning for our life, we then, if you investigate, if you check that, you will come out kind mind. That is the bodhicitta. So if we have a bodhicitta mind, definitely we have a meaningful life, So, and it also makes our mind sort of stronger, and more, courageous, if we if we sort of understand the benefit of, bodhicitta practice, the value, so important. First, I think we all need to understand the benefit, not the practice. Once we understand the benefit, then, I want to practice no matter what. I want this. I will never give it up until I get it, So that's the thing. So that's why first that's why we have to study, we have to learn, we have to, maybe you think, these teachings, as I said yesterday, like these teachings, nothing new, I heard this, that I heard this, I heard, many times, but you have to sort of study one teaching like this over and over and again, because then, every time you learn something, even though you heard, but you get something, like different experience or something. So therefore, teaching or practice, meditation, these are very important to hear, over and over again, many times. That's why, like, when we meditate, one meditation, like, we do that many, many times, right? Familiarity is very, very important. So familiarity, habit, all of these are very important. That means that we are create good karma. So therefore, bodhicitta mind, bodhicitta makes our mind stronger, because if once we have a bodhicitta, a little bit, not like the ultimate bodhicitta, genuine bodhicitta, but if we have a little bit like, bodhicitta, which means think about others, sometimes, not maybe all the time, but then actually, Shantandeva said, you are mentally engaged bodhisattvas. So you become a bodhisattva, right? If you become a bodhisattva, then Shantadewa said, you are the sort of what protector or object, everybody can respect and prostrate to you, So bodhisattvas. So it's a bodhisattva means like have a bodhicitta mind. That's all. So, but however, many people, don't know kind of this truth. Usually people listen to the Dharma, practice, meditate, whatever, only for their sort of current life, right? Or some other sort of, temporary benefit. I want, my mind is full of thoughts or something. I want a peaceful, calm and all this. So I want to meditate. I want to practice. That's not bodhicitta mind. Do you understand? I mean, it's good, right? It's good. You practice. Once you have a peaceful mind, then you can develop. You can build on top of that. Then other good qualities. So that's why peaceful mind is very good foundation. It's good, but there is no motivation. There is no bodhicitta. So you are not mentally engaged to other people or bodhisattva, nothing. You are just thinking only yourself. I mean, we do that all the time. That's just habit. That's just a habit. When we tomorrow we'll talk about emptiness, right? So when we think about emptiness, where is my body, I, me, all this we intellectually we understand there is no I, no me, no body, but still I am doing this. I am investigating. Investigating my body. I am meditating emptiness. Like that. We have this kind of habit, We have very strong habit. That's why always I want this. Because, that's why bodhicitta. We need bodhicitta, temporary sort of benefit. If your goal is temporary, your meditation, like I want calm mind and so beautiful, no thoughts, and I can stay like this, a day or without distractions like that. That's perfect, but it doesn't cause you to attain liberation, So therefore, we need to understand the essence, the purpose of our practice. It's not big thing. It's not complicated, right? Just we have to understand the essence, the benefit of our practice. So therefore, Lama Tsongkhapa says that if our renunciation mind not sort of not accompanied with bodhicitta mind, then he said that the text says here, without bodhicitta, whatever we do, it doesn't become the cause of liberation. Right? That's why yesterday I said, if you are interested attain liberation, then this text, this three principle, very, very important. This is really, this text is like $1 million, more than $1 million for sure. But if you are 20, yeah. But if you are not interested, attain liberation, useless. This is useless. Renunciation. No, I love attachment. I love desire. I love this. Useless, right? But if we really sort of looking for, attain, liberation or, whatever we want is benefit to all other mother sentient beings, then this text is very, very important. So here it says, whatever we do without bodhicitta, it doesn't become the cause of liberation. It means, for example, if, the Paparam which says that, right? If you recite a prayer or a mantra, just a one time with bodhicitta, This is very important. You get the same benefit as you do from reciting 100 mantra without bodhicitta. So one mantra with bodhicitta, 100 mantra without bodhicitta, same. So that's why I always say, correct your motivation, right? Motivation is the same. Shantadeva said, Tamchu Uma Supali Marji Nyankshungwayans. What it means, like if you were like to churn the milk of the Buddha's teaching, bodhicitta would be the butter. Okay? Now, what is the essence of milk? Butter. Butter is the essence of the milk, So Shantadeva said that, Buddha's the teaching, the essence of his teaching is the bodhicitta, is the butter. So, so therefore, for instance, if you make just one butter lamp offering, my teacher always say, give this kind of examples, just one butter lamp, in Tibet, people love to offer butter lamp, always they do that, right? So they say, if you make just one butter lamp, offering with bodhicitta, one butter lamp, you get the same amount of merit as you do from making a 100 lights, the butter lamp offering without bodhicitta. So therefore, the amount of merit you get from making offering and charity does not depend upon how much you give, but on your motivation. For example, even if you recite just one mantra, how much, for instance, when we recite the mantra, Vajrasattva mantra every night, how much the negative karma gets purified depends on how you recite it. The number is important, 100,000 times, 200,000 times, very important. But the thing is how much negative, but our motivation is we need to purify our negative karma. That's the only reason we practice, we recite the mantra, all of that. But, that depends on how you recite it, which means pure motivation. If you have pure motivation, genuine motivation, then even you recite one mantra, really, really, you get the benefit, purified all your negative karma, So I always tell you these things because, as a practitioner, it's very important to understand what is the essence of the Buddhist teaching, and what practice changes your attitude right away. So if you practice perfectly, like correctly, if you practice bodhicitta, you feel the kindness of your mind, right? We feel that. We feel the kindness of mind. So, never think that, I don't have bodhicitta mind. That's something is like bodhisattvas something, I'm not there yet. Never think that, because, if we are capable to harm others, we believe that I can harm others, right? If we are capable to harm others, that means we are capable of generate bodhicitta too, So if we can harm others, that means we can help others too, So never think like, I can harm others, but I can't help others, So that's not good way, to develop our life. So therefore, Shantadeva says in the way of the Bodhisattva, for Bodhisattvas, even life-threatening danger causes no wrongdoing, but natural growth of virtue. So that's why, this stanza Lama Tsongkhapa is talking about the purpose of generating bodhicitta. Okay, so we should generate the good heart, okay, bodhicitta, good heart. This is the second thing. First step is renunciation, and then second thing is bodhicitta. Because usually, renunciation is the first thing because we need to practice dharma. Without renunciation, we don't practice dharma. We just don't see the value. So then once we have renunciation, we want to practice dharma. So then, when we check our motivation, so now you want to practice dharma, but you have to check your motivation. As ordinary people, almost like it is impossible not to have thoughts and actions which are inspired by bad intentions. That's why bodhicitta is important. So renunciation helps you practice dharma. Bodhicitta helps you practice your dharma practice very pure or genuine. Very genuine. So therefore, that's why remembering bodhicitta and renunciation are very important. And a good motivation is a good heart, right? A good heart, this is what we must have at all times, Never forget this, a good motivation, a good heart. We must have at all times, especially as a Buddhist practitioners, So this is the Dharma practice, nothing else. All the time, try to have a good heart, good motivation. This is Dharma practice. Dharma practice depends entirely on our good intentions, right? So it is important always to have good intention. So and we can do that, but usually we forget because I, me, right? So that's why we forget. Otherwise, if we remember, we can, do this, have a good intention. So we need to check our motivation. My root teacher, Khenchen Pamatsang, always say, every morning you have to check your motivation. Every morning you have to check your attitude. He always say that. So we need to sort of examine what is positive and what is negative, right? What is positive, what is negative. Generally, of course, we know what is positive, but sometimes we just don't know. Sometimes we don't know. So if we want to have a positive sort of effect, we need practice virtuous actions, right? So now, what is virtuous? It is an action. It is an action that takes you to the truth. Okay? If you kill somebody, it doesn't take you to the truth. So, in Tibetan, the translation of virtues is any action which is very helpful. That is the truth, that is truth. So Nagarjuna say, actions that arise from the absence of attachment, aversion, and ignorance are positive. Okay? Machak murdan tamugme tipchilin murge bao shanta dewa. No. The Nagarjuna says, any action that arises from the absence of attachment, anger, ignorance is virtuous. And action. And actions that arise from the presence of attachment, from aversion, from ignorance are negative. Okay? So that's how we know. Which action is positive, which action is negative, right? So in order to know that, we have to check our motivation. Whatever you say, whatever we do, this action, mental, verbal, physical action, these actions are come from the absence of attachment, anger, ignorance, or they are come from attachment, anger, ignorance. So that's why check our motivation is so important. If we don't check, then we can't sort of investigate. We don't know virtues or right or wrong. So therefore, bodhicitta helps us to check our motivation whenever we do say something, So therefore, if we sort of want to attain enlightenment, we need to think about it cause, right? It cause. Buddha said, enlightenment never happened, enlightenment without cause, without right cause. And then Buddha said, what is the cause? Cause is bodhicitta. Bodhicitta. Enlightenment cause is bodhicitta. And in order to have bodhicitta, we need its cause, right? What is bodhicitta's cause, which is compassion, right? Which is compassion, and then which is love and kindness, all of that. And in order to practice compassion and love and kindness, we need to have an understanding of the kindness of all living beings. So these are kind of, interconnect, like related to each other. So if we want enlightenment, we need cause, which is bodhicitta. If we want a bodhicitta, we need cause, which is compassion and love and kindness. Practice compassion, love and kindness. In order to have that, we need to understand the kindness of living beings. Either spiritually or worldly, whatever we do, our sort of basic intention is, as ordinary people, like myself, is wrong, So we always do things for ourselves and always sort of harm others, directly or indirectly, So therefore, so long we stay in this samsara, So bodhicitta changes our self-centered, right? Self-centered, this mind, self-centered mind. So practice in bodhicitta develops a good relationship with others, which will open our minds. So I'm not going to talk about what is, the bodhicitta itself, like relative bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta, aspiration, ultimate, all of this. But I want to talk about like the benefit, benefit of practice bodhicitta. So that, then you want to practice bodhicitta, right? So when we talk about a kind mind, we are talking about someone who has a good motivation, good motivation doesn't come from someone who has a bad intention, So a kind mind, someone who has a good motivation. So that means this person is very good person. Not spiritual thing, but worldly, like, oh, he's good guy, he's good woman, good, it's so good person, means who has a good motivation, I think, a kind mind. So kind mind is very, very important. And how can we develop a kind mind and a good motivation into our daily life? Not one day, right? One day I want a kind mind, the other day, no. So good motivation into our daily life, always think, this is the most sort of important idea or thing, So I think there are many instructions, right? Many instructions. But I think this is what we need to do. In the morning, every morning, try to make a commitment And, we should say something like, today all my actions will benefit others, and I will try to not harm anyone, and I'm going to help others as much as possible. I think that's very sort of good commitment if we remember, set that kind of good motivation, for the day, because every morning is like our the beginning of our life, right? So every morning is birth, every evening is death, you know. So birth and death every day. I mean, I really feel that when I go to sleep, I'm kind of dead, Nothing is going on. But then every morning, oh, my mind is so fresh, my body is so fresh, everything is fresh, I'm full of energy and so happy. So it's kind of, birth, new birth. So then with this new birth, we need a good commitment, It's say, today I'm not going to try not to harm others, try to help others. Today all my actions will benefit other sentient beings, something like that. Maybe we cannot do that, but just to keep that commitment will help. Slowly we're doing better and better. So I think that set that kind of motivation or goal for the day, very important every morning. And then during the day, try to be mindful of our thoughts and our action, right? So therefore, now we have a commitment, we have a good foundation, but then during the day, sometimes we forget, right? Say things very like harsh words, or and do things not so nice. So then we need mindfulness, right? Our action, So you know, um, we have to, during the day, be mindful of our thoughts and our action. Try to, do this. And then of course, when we, during the day, we sort of check our motivation like that, then we will find something like negative thoughts arising in our mind, right? Then try to change them. Okay, I commit. What do you call it? This morning I make a commitment. So now I have this negative thoughts arising. So I have to change it. So try to change them. Try to think sort of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the only way. My teacher Khenchen Pamatsang always say that bodhicitta is the only way to handle such a problem. Because that's the benefit. So. So that if during the day, if we have these negative thoughts, we have to sort of think about bodhicitta. We want happiness, and if we show sort of others kindness and respect, then they will respond in kind, right? Isn't that our happiness? I think we show others like kindness and respect, then they will respond same thing. So then we will experience our happiness. If we show, for instance, like others, our sort of anger or in these things, then of course they will show us the same thing, So then everything's getting worse and worse, and then we will lose sort of our own happiness, even though bodhicitta is for others. But if we do this, then we're going to lose our own happiness. Then we harm others. Then everything, there is nothing left, So negative, So therefore, negative emotions, negative thoughts are always bad karma, which means they are bad action, very bad action. The whole purpose of our practice of meditation is to help us in our daily life, right? So when we deal with others, we don't harm but benefit them. why do we suffer a lot? Why do we have many negative thoughts? From a Buddhist point of view, the cause of these problems are a selfish or egoistic perception. Okay? That's why, the Satya master, Je Tsongkhapa Johnson, you heard this many times, right? He has a very famous, text called Pardon from the Four Attachment. Pardon from the Four Attachment. It says, if you attached to this life, you are not a true spiritual practitioner. That's the first one. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. We understand that. We talked about that yesterday, right? If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. That's what I'm trying to say it, If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. So that's why, bodhicitta is the antidote to selfishness, So, so therefore, bodhicitta is so important, right? And the last one, the four attachments. If there is a grasping, we're going to talk this tomorrow, right? If there is a grasping, you don't have the view. So this, apart from the four attachment and the three principal aspects of a same teaching, they're just universal teaching. So that's why they're so famous and they're so helpful, right? So in this Lama Tsongkhapa talks about renunciation, the purpose of renunciation, the benefit of renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness. But then Satya, this pardon from the four attachment, talks about the negative side. If you don't have this, if you attach to this and this, you are not that and that, So today we're talking about, so if you are attached to your own, your own body, your own, self-centered, all this, only your own self, you have no bodhicitta mind. That's, he says. It's very true, That's why Buddha also himself recognized it, their bodhicitta as an antidote. Only, I can say, the best, I would say, the best antidote to our selfish motivation, right? So, Buddhist philosophy, point of view, everything, all these problems and sufferings come from this guy, selfishness. So then, can we change it? Yes, of course, we can. That's why we have lots of bodhisattvas and Buddhas, and we can. But if you don't change, this is the thing. This is the cause, everything. Keep us in samsara forever. So that's why Buddha recognized it, Oh, I got the antidote. Selfishness, antidote, selfish. So therefore, Buddha suggested that everybody should practice bodhicitta, Everybody should practice bodhicitta because everybody has these problems, right? Everybody has these problems. So it's true. This is Buddha himself, It's the experience from his life. So therefore, we should try. I always think that it's very important to have a happy life, which is trying to open our hearts through the practice of bodhicitta. If you really, you know this. So if you practice bodhicitta, it really opens your mind. If you don't have bodhicitta mind, our mind is like very narrow, So there's no compassion, room for compassion or kindness. So very narrow. Bhakti Rinpoche said, be gentle with yourself, kind to others. Keep that in mind. It's just 2 words, very short, but it's very profound. Be gentle yourself, okay? And kind to others. As the Kardam Master say, we actually need to think about others in order to develop ourselves as a human being, as a good human being. I just appreciate that we have this kind of, like instructions from the masters, We are very fortunate. Because do you think is true? Kardam Master said we actually need to think about others in order to develop ourselves as a perfect, a good human being. I think it's true, because if we have a kind mind, we become a very good person. And, Pamasambhava, says that before you go to sleep, you should generate bodhicitta. Morning you wake up, you should generate bodhicitta. And Pamasambhava says, when you go to sleep, you should generate bodhicitta with words such as like, may all beings achieve perfect happiness and, complete awakening, something like that. You say, you can make this mantra, whatever you like, you can say that, it helps your bodhicitta mind. So you can say before you sleep like that, with that kind of your motivation, you feel you fall asleep with that kind of a good, pure, strong intention. When a dream arises, you will become aware that you are dreaming, or you have such a nice dream. If you want to, like for instance, if you want to practice dream yoga, for instance, the main point is not to become too sort of distracted by any kind of negative thoughts when you go to sleep. As he said, if you want to practice dream yoga, before you fall asleep, you need a positive thoughts. Otherwise, you can't practice dream yoga. But then in order to have positive thoughts, you have to generate bodhicitta mind before you sleep. And also Buddha said that if you sleep like that kind of motivation, then you sleep 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever, it's virtuous. If you sleep with a negative thought, then 8 hours, 9 hours, you are making a bad deeds, non-virtuous. I think it's big deal, right? Just before, that's the same thing. Before you go to sleep, that moment, you should have a nice thoughts. That's the same thing when you die. Before the last your breath, you need a good thought. Then they say, Pamasambhava says, your next life will be perfect because you have a very stable and good quality bridge. You build a bridge between this life and next life. Right? Do you understand? So then, the last moment of your, dying, the breath, the last breath with bodhicitta, nice intention, thoughts, then guarantee your next life, you will born with a bodhicitta mind. So therefore, that's why I say, every night it's like you should consider that death, you're going to die. I mean, even though you don't like to think that, but why not? It's really like a death, it's everything, your sixth consciousness, all this are die, and stop, and your body is like dead, and then, but then before you die, you should generate, okay? You should generate bodhicitta mind. Otherwise, you will not recognize, your dream, your dream. If you have a lots of sort of thoughts before you go to sleep, especially negative thoughts, and then sometimes you think, you can't sleep, you can't sleep. It's so much, stress and worry, and then you can't sleep. And even though you sleep, then you have very bad dreams, nightmare, So anyway, that's that. Now the text number 7. It says, swept away by the current of the 4 powerful rivers, bound by the tight bonds of karma, so difficult to escape, caught in the iron net of self-grasping, completely enveloped by the thick darkness of ignorance. Shugdak chuo yi jinji chair, current of 4 powerful rivers, shugdak chuo yi jinji chair, doka lijin changwa tambu dam, dangzan chair jitawi upsentip, dangzan means here self-grasping. Dangzan, caught in the iron net of self-grasping. Dangzan chair jitawi upsentip. Marig mimbi machin kunin tips, marigba, ignorance, mimba, darkness of ignorance, right? Completely thick, very thick. Marig mimbi, machin means like thick darkness of ignorance. Tip means like enveloped, completely. Okay, so this stanza is talking about the characteristic of life. Right? It's talking about the cause of suffering. It's talking about the defects of samsara. So it's, so swept away by the current of the 4 powerful rivers. 4 powerful rivers. 4 very powerful rivers. Mississippi River, Mississippi River. These are very powerful rivers, right? So 4 powerful rivers. What are they? Suffering of birth, suffering of sickness, suffering of old age, and suffering of death. That is the 4 powerful rivers. So that's our life, right? The human beings, the characteristic of human beings. We have this 4 sufferings. So we are bound by the tight bonds of negative karmic actions, and we are caught in the iron net of self-grasping. We have these 4 powerful sufferings because, what is the cause? Self-grasping, as I said. Why we have so strong self-grasping? Because we have no bodhicitta mind. And which is not seeing the true nature of the reality, right? Because we are under, it says here, under the thick darkness of ignorance, right? So we just don't know because of the thick darkness of ignorance. So the thick darkness, this unawareness, then causes us to build up a huge amount of negative actions and negative karma. Because of this, negative karmic actions put us in an iron net of self-grasping. Okay? Self-grasping is the root cause of us taking birth again and again in life after life in samsara. So once we take birth, then we have the other things, sickness, old age, and death. So the birth, what is the cause of birth? Because of the self-grasping. Self-grasping, root cause of the taking birth. Not once, many times, again and again in life after life samsara. So that is this stanza is about. Now, meditation. Okay. Maybe take a break and come back. We should meditate for a few minutes. Now it's kind of too late, so I think maybe you'll need to eat something or drink something. So I will let you do that, okay?